So, what exactly does it say that both Budweiser and Bud Light have not posted anything on their social media for over a month now? Well, I have some ideas. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to Enough with the Crazy. You know, life can sometimes be difficult. As human beings, we thrive through the connections we make with others, and sometimes, because of the actions of those others, we face difficulties that are unfairly cast upon us. But then there's those times when there's no one else to blame for our problems but ourselves. And that's exactly what happened with Bud Light. As the once best selling beer in America had it all, they made the worst decision they could have and severely offended its primary customer base by endorsing a marketing strategy and sponsoring a transgendered person, who, in my opinion, as well as in the opinion of many others, really just makes a cartoonish mockery of women. To be honest, I would imagine that this unbelievably stupid marketing plan will go down in the history of advertising as the biggest blunder of all time. Now, I would assume that Bud Light and its marketing vice president at the time, Alyssa Heinerschein, who publicly advocated for this type of direction in the company, has probably found their place in the history books, as it's probable that this astounding marketing blunder will be taught in the advertising classes of every university as to how easily an idealistic advertising executive can single handedly destroy a company. Since this crazy scheme occurred, Bud Light has suffered close to a 30% drop in sales over prior year and is about to, if not have already, lost its status as being the number one ranked beer in the country to Modelo. Now, they have desperately tried to recover by pandering to their base customer again and backtracking on their sponsorship of that transgendered person. However, in doing so, they have offended the other side and now everyone is boycotting them. You really can't write this kind of stuff. So let's get into the article. Bud Light and Budweiser, who shares the same parent company, haven't tweeted in over a month after its replies were dominated by thousands of comments criticizing Bud Light's decision to tap a transgender influencer to promote its brand. The company last tweeted on April 14 with a picture of a Bud Light can captioned TGIF. The tweet sparked 32,000 replies, largely critical of its partnership with Dylan Mulvaney, who rose to fame after detailing 365 days of girlhood. Previous tweets from Bud Light contained similar complaints, and the account has since been inactive. Just bought my first case of At Coors Banquet in decades, one user replied to Bud Light. No more at Budweiser, hashtag get woke, go broke. Budweiser's main account and the Budweiser USA account have also been inactive for over a month. Budweiser USA's last tweet was posted on the same day as Bud Light's last tweet, which included an ad with its infamous Clydesdale horses, but it still received over 25,000 replies that were largely critical. Bud Light, whose parent company is Anheuser-Busch, has struggled to sell his product since his partnership with Mulvaney in March, which included custom beer cans of the transgender influencer's face. The company's sales dropped for 6 weeks straight since calls to boycott the beer. Anheuser-Busch's main Twitter account also hasn't tweeted since April 14, when it tweeted out its statement in response to the Mulvaney backlash, receiving over 25,000 replies. Bud Light sales dropped 28.4% from last year for the week ending May 13, according to Beer Business Daily. Other Anheuser-Busch products dropped in sales as well, such as Michelob Ultra, which fell 6.8% for the week ending in May 13. Coors Light and Miller Lite, meanwhile, increased sales by 16.9% and 15.1%. Hard pass, one Twitter user replied to Bud Light. Woke beer's gross. Bud Light, in an attempt to bump its sales, launched a promotional rebate ahead of Memorial Day weekend. The rebate included an amount equivalent to the purchase price of one 15-pack or larger, up to $15 of Bud Light. Budweiser, Budweiser Select, or Budweiser Select 55 paid via Anheuser-Busch digital prepaid MasterCard. Some retailers sell a 15-pack for less than $15, which means the rebate makes those beers free. Beer distributors for Anheuser-Busch have struggled to keep business amid the boycott. The company told its wholesalers it would buy back Bud Lights that expired, according to the Wall Street Journal. Brendan Whitworth, CEO of Anheuser-Busch, released a statement in April as the boycott of his company gained traction. "We never intended to be a part of a discussion that divides people," Whitworth said. "We are in the business of bringing people together over a beer." Alyssa Heinerscheid, Vice President of Marketing for Bud Light, and Daniel Blake, Budweiser's Group Vice President for Marketing, were placed on leave for their supervision over the decision to work with Mulvaney. Quote, "Given the circumstances, Alyssa has decided to take a leave of absence, which we support," an Anheuser-Busch spokesperson told the Journal. Daniel has also decided to take a leave of absence. The decision to go on leave, quote unquote, was involuntary, the Journal reported. So look, with all this said, it's clear that Budweiser has put themselves into a desperate situation. They have really created an enemy for themselves from both camps. So much so, they realize that trying to say anything will only stir up more adversity for themselves. Now, I know in my life, I've learned that there's a time to talk and a time to listen. But I also learned that the great lesson in that is finding the wisdom to know when those times are. Budweiser has realized that nothing they say can profit them. So they are just remaining silent, which is probably very smart. However, even though they aren't speaking publicly on any social media platforms, they are continuing to support the opposite side of their main consumer base. And that will relate to their majority base that they really just don't care about having their business. And this is why. You see, everyone clearly understands that conservative rural America is the overwhelming customer base that has made Bud Light the top-selling beer for decades. However, in spite of making the best business decision to reestablish themselves with them, they are choosing to pacify those who rarely, if ever, buy their product. I mean, let's take a look at this realistically. And I'm just taking a guess here, but in all probability, conservative, mainstream America has to account for at minimum 80 to 90% of their beer sales. When you think about it, how much of the LGBTQ community do you really think actually drinks Bud Light? Yet despite Budweiser knowing that, they still choose to cater to the side that rarely purchases their product instead of standing with their majority-based consumers. There is no other message in that than we are just more concerned about what the smaller side thinks of us rather than we are of what you, as the very foundation of our business success, do. So that reveals to us that although all it took to crash their sales was an idealistic marketing vice president, the reality is that she really wasn't acting against the objective their company gave her. It's idiotic at best to think that a brand that has had such a proven success record would discard the 80 to 90% of their sales market just to cater to the 10 to 20%. So, yes, Bud Light, stay quiet, because we are not as stupid as you think we are. Although you are silent on social media, by the things you're doing, we see what matters to you. And through the silence, we can hear perfectly well what it is that you're saying. So let me know in the comments just what your thoughts are. If you enjoyed this type of content, please take the time to share it with others, as it definitely will help the channel to grow. And please don't forget to hit that like button, click that subscribe button, and punch the notification bell to be notified of any and all new videos. Hey, as always, I want to say thanks for taking the time to listen. Until next time.